Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cargo Bay 101. Now, if you've been following the podcast for any amount of time, you know how this works. We invite our guest to pick something from all of Star Trek, past, present, and future, if they know something, to put in the cargo bay that we will then have a spirited discussion about. And if we all agree, or a majority of us agree, it will be blasted out into space, never to return to Star Trek again. We've had a variety of things get blasted out, and a lot of them rhyme with Season 1 Klingons. But I'm very curious. Ellie, what do you have for us this week?
Okay, so I feel like I should start this off by saying, as Sean says, we've had many of these examples on the podcast before. I myself have given a lot of these examples, so we're now at the point where I might say something you're like, seriously, that's what you're going with? But all my good ones have been used up, okay? So we're trying here, but because I am still making my way through some episodes, new things pop up. And I have been watching Deep Space Nine. Season 5 is what I'm on. I feel like I've been on season 5 for a while.
Actually, hang on. Did you start that 2 years ago?
I started season 5 a little while ago, but because, Strange New Worlds, because season 2 of Doctor Who, it kind of had to go on the back burner for a little while, and now I've kind of jumped back in. Now, I have a particular scene that I would like to blast into space, and it's from the episode that I watched the other day, A Simple Investigation. Which in itself is a pretty inoffensive filler episode. Not much to report back on. It's pretty standard. In the episode, Odo meets a woman who is very clearly using him right from the beginning, and he seems pretty oblivious to that fact, but everyone else is going, dude, she's lying to you. This is not going to end well. But she does some flirting with him, and he gets very flustered about this because he's never really had any encounters with women before. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what bedroom eyes means, and he doesn't know what he's doing. And there's a woman showing me attention. What do I do? The scene in question is about halfway through the episode when all of a sudden the characteristics of Odo from the first half of the episode, where he doesn't know how to read a woman showing him interest, or how to act in this moment, or how to right? He suddenly has a chat with Bashir, and the next scene he's waking up in bed with this woman, and he's acting like he is the most experienced lover in the world, and it made me feel so uncomfortable. Like, it was not necessary to the episode. He was growling at her. And I was like, what has happened to Odo? He's gone from being completely oblivious and unknowing of how to interact with a woman and not knowing what bedroom eyes means and all these things, to suddenly lounging in this bed and kind of with this gruff voice. And it was so awkward to watch. I feel like we could have taken that scene out and the episode would have still made perfect sense. We could have had a little hint that things had happened. I did not need to see him stroking her face, and the growl was what did it for me. I was like, he's supposed to be inexperienced. Why is he growling at her? It was awful. I don't need to see it. But beyond the uncomfortable elements, it just felt so out of character for Odo, based on everything else that had happened up until that point, and it just felt like suddenly it was a completely different person. And that is what I would like to blast out. The episode itself can stay. I mean, it's a pretty bog standard, pretty forgettable episode, if I'm being honest, but, it's inoffensive enough. It's fine, it can stay. That scene needs to go, though.
Yeah. Odo growling is what you want to get rid of, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Poor Odo, and he had such a rough season as well. Season 5 was he went through it.
I'm not against him getting a little action. I just didn't need to see it in that much detail. Okay, I didn't need to feel like I was actually a fly on the wall in that moment. It was uncomfortable. The
thing is, as a creature that can, or alien, I should say, that can transform into anything he wants, he probably would be quite good in the bedroom.
I still don't need to know that.
It was super progressive for the 90s, dude.
Yeah. I also feel, as we've talked about this a lot, Ellie, as people who don't know when someone is flirting with us, or if that's even a thing that's happening.
I'm so oblivious.
Yeah, me too. Maybe a conversation with Bashir is all we need to understand.
I mean, and Bashir of all characters as well. Bashir, who was the greatest sex pest for at least the first year of Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling he's got so much erotica saved on all of those pads in his quarters that he probably had like any possible scenario Odo could have found himself in. Bashir was like, yeah, I've got a pad for that.
I feel like Bashir is a perfect example of like Star Trek not knowing what to do with a character at the beginning and then slowly figuring it out as they go along, because they do that a lot. And he's the best. Like, he is a character you really don't like at the beginning, and you go, you know what, good old Bashir.
Yeah. Odo, on the other hand, I feel like they kind of were a little bit rocky with what kind of character he was supposed to be in this episode. Like,
yeah.
We've already gone down the route of, and I know that there is more development with this later on that I haven't got to, but I know some of the storylines. But we've already had this kind of exploration of him having this unrequited love for Kira. Mm-hmm. We've already explored that a bit. So it's not like he himself isn't able to kind of identify that he has feelings for someone. But the opening of this episode made out that he was completely inexperienced, didn't know anything. And I can get that to a degree, as you say. It's kind of me, just like being completely oblivious to when someone is very blatantly flirting. But it just felt like in a very short period of time, he completely changed into this kind of real, almost sleazy. It just didn't fit the character. He just seemed, and then the next scenes, he kind of went back to being this kind of ignorant, I don't know what's going on, innocent character again. But in that one moment, it just felt like, who are you and what have you done with Odo? Because where's this confidence come from all of a sudden?
It's funny when you get, even flashbacks as well, scenes with Odo, and you're like, oh yeah, remember when he was full on fascist in the past as well?
Yeah.
Like, Odo's a character who's just like, I'm never really quite sure from one episode to the next, because I really like Odo, but also Odo has secrets. Odo knows things.
Do you know what? It's funny you say that, because I was thinking that. I can't remember what episode it was, but the fact that everyone is so... And again, development, I know there's things in the story and, prejudices and whatever, but everyone is so quick to kind of judge characters like Garak for his past and what he's done and all those things. And yet Odo was also working with the Cardassians, and everyone seems to have forgiven him without really considering any of those things. Like, everyone's quick to be like, yeah, he's the chief of security and he's great and we love Odo. And it's like, did you forget that he was also very quick to just change sides depending on what was going on? Yeah. But anyway, that's too deep for this conversation. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about Odo being the weird growler in bed.
Odo the weird growler. I can definitely say that that's never something that he's been called before, which is impressive when you think DS9 ended 26 years ago.
Yeah.
I told you these get weirder and weirder as I clutch for more ideas.
But that's good. That's why we like these things, because, there is so much weird stuff in Star Trek.
It would make for a good Star Trek novel as well. Odo the Weird Growler.
I don't want to read that novel.
It's a pop-up book.
But the interesting thing as well is that I had a Deep Space Nine episode myself that I wanted to put into Cargo Bay 101, but it's so similar to what we're talking about now that I feel like there's no point. It is we've talked about parts of it before. It's the episode Meridian.
Oh,
and it's not just the thing we're all thinking of, which is the Kira's body with Quark's head.
I've been waiting for you.
Yeah, all that stuff is gross from the very beginning. We all know that. But it's the whole episode. It's the B or A story, whatever that other story is, with the planet that appears and then disappears, right? And it goes into Ellie, something that we've talked about a lot for season 3 of Strange New Worlds, which is the relationship stuff. Star Trek has always had this need to... Well, it's always been this weird, horny show, and it's had this need to want to put every character with another character at some point during an episode. DS9 does it a lot. Well, they all do it a lot, but DS9 definitely does it a lot in a way that makes me... Like, for this episode, both stories are... I get that they, synchronize in a way that makes sense, but they're both that kind of thing where with this character, we have the only way that we explore this really interesting science fiction story about a planet that appears and disappears is by having Dax fall in love with one of the characters. And they do that so often. It's like, don't try and manipulate me in thinking that's why we should care. It's an entire planet that appears and disappears. We don't need this love story. So I agree.
And similar with this character is kind of like the innocence of Odo. And I think this is why that scene in particular was why it fell off, because the whole point of this episode is that this woman is playing on the innocence of Odo to use him to get what she wants. And it's clear to us that she's not who she says she is and the story she tells. And yes, he does come to that conclusion, but not without first having to end up in bed with her and her using him. And it's just, again, using, kind of manipulating the innocence of characters and focusing on those sorts of storylines when we've already got those storylines in there, they're happening. But yeah, I don't think it's an episode many people talk about on the daily.
No.
No, that is for sure.
And if I hadn't just watched it, I mean, I had to look up the title of it, having watched it within the last week, because it's pretty forgettable.
Yeah.
Apart from that scene that just made me feel weird.
They've also done it in more interesting ways before, with like the episode The Muse, where there's like the alien feeding off Jake's creativity, and like
that episode also made me feel very uncomfortable.
But that has, to me, that's like a better sort of weird pseudo-sexual, undertone that is happening through it. That feels a lot more purposeful, where this just is Odo growling in bed.
I think we're probably all in agreement that Odo growling in bed, at the very least, has to go out into space.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use my trusty tricorder with a red button on it. And I'm going to push this red button and blast everything out into space. Thank you so much for watching along. Did you know that you can also listen in and catch every episode of our podcast just by following the link in the description below this video? Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and please make sure you're following us on the various socials. Till I see you again, look after yourselves, make sure that you live long and prosper.